Namaste. Welcome, beautiful souls, to my channel. My name is Sadhana if you're new. And today I thought I would just take a few minutes to talk about a new course that I am offering. I've been teaching tarot for a long time, and I have two courses that have proven to be very successful. They're both linked in the description box below, Tarot Foundations 1 and 2. And I've had several requests from former students to keep going with this series, to develop classes, to become a more fluent reader. And I noticed even at the end when I was doing live classes, so originally I was teaching my classes on Zoom, and then I transitioned and did a version of each of the courses with a YouTube recording. And so I believe in most of them, you may see some of the chat highlighted, but they are, it's more private for the students who are attending. And for Tarot Foundations 3, I'm going to do the same. It will be a YouTube broadcast, and you will have an opportunity to join in the chat and ask more questions. Tarot Foundations 3 is going to be interactive in that you can pause. I can pause and answer your questions and explain more fully my process as a reader. And I thought today I would take you through a few of those steps that we are going to work with in the course. Welcome, Clevis. Lovely to see you. And it's been a while. I haven't been on YouTube for over 10, 11 days, and it's amazing how you just sort of get out of the swing of all of this. Tarot Foundations 3. You do not have to have taken my courses. Many of you are very fluent in the tarot, and I will be talking about a lot of Golden Dawn correspondences, zodiacal correspondences, the elemental connections, the planetary and the zodiacal card relationship, and the connection to the minor arcana. I will be talking about chakras and Sabbats and all kinds of things to try to build deeper connections in a reading. You do not need to be an expert in any of this, but it'd be great if the vocabulary was familiar. And if you find yourself wandering, struggling, getting lost, then what I will do is send you a handout. I have a lot of paper material that I created for these two courses. I will not be sharing it because if you didn't take those classes, you don't have them. But I'm happy to share a few of those where it might be helpful to your understanding of this process. And that can happen through email. What else do you need to know? I will be using a variety of decks and a variety of spreads. However, I will be staying pretty tried and true to the process of the first operation, which has proven to be really quite magical for me and unfolded all kinds of insights into deepening connections with a reading and finding greater story. And it's really amazing because I am currently also doing Marseille readings, and I read with a lot of diverse decks that don't follow Golden Dawn, and yet I have been able to weave together a myriad of teachings to trust in what arises in any given reading. And I want to give you a little taste of that during this course. And it begins in September, the first Saturday in September. You do not have to be available for the live streams, but then you will miss out on the chat, and you will have time to review the recordings at your leisure. And I'm planning to do 11 classes and record those on sequential Saturdays. That's my intention. Okay, so once you register, you will receive a questionnaire that looks like this, a fillable PDF. And I thought that I would go through some of this and then do a mini reading picking up on some of this information. All right, so I've just downloaded a new version of an app, and I don't know where the Zoom is. That is really too bad. Auto with Zoom. My apologies, people. Okay, if necessary, I will, maybe if you zoom in your camera. So I'm going to turn and face this sheet and just sort of talk you a little bit through my process. Like I said, you're going to receive a blank one of these to fill in your name and your birth date. And you have an opportunity in this course as well to have a deep and thorough reading. Your name will not be mentioned. However, I will use your information and your issue is as a sample reading in the course. And I will take this from 11 different people. Okay, so let's begin. I really wish I could find Zoom. Oh, there it is. Silly Sadhana. All right, there we go. I'll try to slide this around for you. One of the things that I do when I sit down to do a reading is to check my moon journal. And the brand, I use the Wee Moon Journal. It's been a journal that I've had for years, and rarely do I write in it, but sometimes I will make notes about particular things that are arising. And you'll notice here that on the top of this sheet, I wrote that today the moon is in Leo, the sun is in Leo, and this is really the eve of Virgo season. It feels like a precipice for something that is opening. It's also this date is a closing out of Leo season. The moon is diminishing. It is dark. We are preparing for the new moon on Friday, late on Friday, Saturday for some of you. And it just feels like we're on an edge of something. So this is something that I want to be aware of as I'm doing the reading. Now, as for myself, I've used some personal information here. My birth date is the 8th month, the 12th day. My number, tarot card for this year is 11. And I do pay attention to both strength and justice, depending on the deck that I'm using. My decan is the third decan of Leo, which happens to be the Seven of Wands. This is the symbol for Mars. And I've also noted here that this transitions into the first decan of Virgo, which is the 8 of Earth and the Sun. And there's this lovely weaving of the astrological information in the tarot. It's like we move from one thing to the other, but there's this carryover. So we have this powerful fiery energy in Leo, but we don't lose that in the first decan of Virgo. And these sort of things I like to know about a client before I start. I don't always know it in advance. And the more I know and the longer the reading, the more depth I can go into. One thing that I did note is that I've written here minus 180 degrees. And what that means is that my moon, so my Cap moon, is, I believe, 2 or 3 days before the full moon. So where we are right now is not exactly 180 degrees, but it is said to be a difficult time lunar-wise because of the position of the moon. It's not an optimal time to be making decisions and planning and so forth. My ascendant is the first decan of Sagittarius. My Venus is the first decan of, my Venus is the first decan of Libra, and my Mars. And these are two planets that are really interesting to look at. And I think even if you are new to the tarot, having a look at this relationship between Venus and Mars in a reading, if it shows up, is always really interesting. I have a rather pointed group of cards here. A lot of assertion, jointly with the King of Wands. Two knights, the fiery knights, the active knights, the active king, and the ice queen. They all are really, really powerful. So I know that part of my journey has been learning to soften that. I come naturally by strength and assertion. So you can begin to maybe answer some of these questions in your journal, and you can leave this all blank except for your date of birth and your name, and I'm happy to fill in the rest for you. And I will send you a copy if this is all new to you. And then there are questions. And these are questions, if I don't see a client in advance, if I don't have much communication with a client in advance, I do this on the spot. But I do ask a client to tell me a little bit about yourself. Why are you here? And if I don't know anything about them, I will ask about their situation. What do you wish to focus on in your reading today? And this is super important. We need to come up with a question. A tarot reading is very difficult if you don't have focus. And then I've asked, can you write some questions to help narrow your focus? And sorry, this is quite blurry. My printer must be running out of ink or something. So this is very, very important. On the second page, I ask you about your health. Now, why do I ask you about this? And I do ask all my clients about their health. Because health, physical health, mental health, emotional health is all connected to what is manifesting in your life at this time. And specifically, there's a question about digestion, because this is really important. How you digest food, how your digestive and elimination system is working, is very much reflective of how your life is appearing at this time. And because I do healing work and I teach about chakras, very familiar with all of this. I have studied the chakras in depth, both in Canada, the States, and in India, taken classes with some very enlightened beings, that's for sure. This is of great interest to me. And then if you could also tell me a little bit about your best, worst experience in tarot reading, what you think about that, and if there's anything else that you would like to share with me. So you will receive this once you register for the course. So I'm going to put this aside right now, and I'm going to, so you know a little bit about me. Those of you that follow me on YouTube know a lot more about me. And what do I wish to focus on in this reading? And I'm going to ask something that might surprise you. As many of you know, as we approach Virgo season, we are entering into eclipse season. And the first eclipse is on September 7th. And we have a total lunar eclipse later in the month. We have 2 new moons this Virgo season, one in the 1st degree of Virgo and one in the 29th degree of Virgo. This is going to be a season of change, very, very much. And I have been contemplating, and I'm not sure what this is about, but it's a feeling. It's a feeling that it is time to shift my energy and stop producing content on YouTube. That my energy would be better spent with individuals or in another way. So I'm just going to write here, tell me more about future content development on YouTube. So what I'm looking for in the reading is there an indication of continuity, or does the energy seem to be quite different from what you have been seeing on this channel? I reached for the Morgan Greer Tarot. This is a full-size version of the deck that I recently acquired. It actually came through Amazon. Italy, I think, is where I found it. And there's just something about the richness of the colors in this deck that I really love at this time of year. I put some nasturtiums on my table, and it just feels really bold and beautiful. Okay, so I am going to, for some reason, in my mind, I'm thinking that the Queen of Swords is a really significant player at this time. She is the one that shows me the way, the truth. She is my Venus. And Venus in Cancer right now feels, where Venus is right now. And it feels that a lot is changing. A lot is changing. And I trust her wisdom. And so I'm going to use her as my significator and kind of work from there. And see if there are other cards that appear that I have addressed in the handout that I just shared with you. Okay. Now, where would I expect the Queen of Swords to be at this time? And this is a really, you would think that I know my mind, my voice. Remember, the Suit of Swords is also the element of air, and there's a deep connection to the heart, and this connection between the heart and the voice, the heart and the mind, speaking one's truth and all of that. So where is she? And I'm thinking that she is either in this pile of emotion, and she's trying to find her way through that, or she's being her aggressive, obstinate, I know everything kind of self, and she's here in her home of air. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm going to look here first, because I feel like she is struggling a little bit. Interesting that Virgo is here too, the Virgo card. Another really important Earth card. So Virgo is mutable Earth, Hierophant is fixed Earth, Chariot is here too. Yeah, she is here. Okay, so she is here in the pile of water. Okay, so I'm going to move these other piles out of the way. And then address the concern as I go through this process. So this was the water pile, the cup pile. Bottom of the pile is the Three of Wands. A new vision. 3 as development, 3 of fire. This is Aries energy, cardinal fire. So at the bottom of this pile, there is this mood of looking in a new direction, new development. And can't quite see what it is, but it's right there. And it's also right next to the Hermit. it's like it will be revealed sooner than later. Kind of interesting. Now, if I go through the pile and I get to the Queen of Swords, what is she framed by? Well, she's framed by the Knight of Swords, who is a significant card for me. If you'll note that, I noted that my Mars is in Gemini, and so this is a important card in my constellation. And there is my High Priestess. And she is also part of my life path, part of my journey. And when I look at these three cards in combination, I feel that it is, I am at this precipice of something that is definitely shifting. And it's shifting very much in alignment with my purpose, with my life path. It all feels like divine timing. And I have been waiting for this reveal. And I laugh here because it takes a lot of strength to face these challenges and these times. Death is also showing up here. Another card that is part of my constellation with the Knight of Swords is the Ten of Swords. And that decan is now that's not the Knight of Swords decan, that is the Queen of Cups decan. So I have this interesting, and you saw that the Chariot was here as well too, somewhere. I think I did. Oh no, that was when I was going through all the cards at the beginning. Oh yeah, no, the Chariot is here. Chariot, Cancer, and so that Ten of Swords decan is the Queen of Cups, who takes us into Chariot season. So this whole story here feels kind of connected. So what I'm going to do is so many things one can do. I could do a 9-card reading and just sort of see what the story is around her. And then I could also carry on with the first operation, when that process is to take these cards and to put them underneath and to lay out all the cards on the table and to do a card count. However, I wasn't going to take that much time today, so I think what I'm going to do is a preliminary reading and put the Queen of Swords at the center of the table and have a look and see if I can get any information about my channel, future development of content, and where I'm going with all of this. This is a really interesting line here. So, Four of Swords. This is part of that Queen of Swords' story in a way. However, this is where Scorpio picks up. This is the Knight of Cups. And when I say this, I'm thinking, wow, okay, so there's another card that is on a precipice of change. My moon, so this is also interesting. Queen of Swords, Queen of the High Priestess is the planet of the moon. And my moon is in Capricorn. And here we have the Knight of Cups, Pisces. And I'm sure many of you know what's going on with the outer planets as well, and how important the Pisces cards are at this time. I have this really heavy hitting card here from Aquarius that's asking about hard decisions, also indicating change. And remember that no card means anything in isolation, that it's really important to look at big picture here. Big picture. This deck does switch up some of the traditional facings of the court cards and the cards, and so I want to look at that. This was intentionally chosen for this reading. It felt really very much in alignment with the season. And I want to note that Death is forward facing, as is the Queen of Swords and the Six of Wands and the High Priestess. So we have 4 cards that are looking at me straight in the face. They are direct and saying this is not a time to diverge. The Knight of Cups, and so this is a water knight. This is the Knight of Swords. And I'm always intrigued when the swords and cups show up in, and they're also knighted to each other. You know how knights move on a chessboard? Because of this relationship, historically, of water and air, both being in one way connected to the heart. The rose is a symbol of love of the heart, of femininity. And I think this Queen of Swords is quite feminine in that way. She wears green, the green of Venus. She's not so icy as a lot of Queen of Swords, and yet she is comfortable among the thorns. And she wears a crown of thorns. So it's kind of cool. Now this is the middle decan of Leo. And so an important card, significant card for me as well too. And one of the things I noticed was that the Five of Swords and the horse in this card are really sort of looking in the opposite direction. It's almost like we have a circling of energy here. Yes, I know. Yeah, lots of majors in that pile, which is something that if I later on I do the second part of the first operation, I'm sure will play into this. So this would be a preliminary look at this question, and I want to go back. Tell me more about the future content and development on YouTube. One thing I see here is that there is the spiritual aspect of the content needs to shine through more. And that I needn't be, also notice 4 and 5 of Swords linking us. These are connecting cards from Libra to Aquarius. There is I would say I'm not cautious on what I say on YouTube. However, I haven't really dealt publicly more into the magic and mysticism and the spirituality that is a part of who I am. And when I look at the Knight of Cups and the Knight of Swords and see how these two heart-centric knights earnestly, softly look in the same direction, how the High Priestess shows up here as who I am and very deeply connected to my life path, it feels really important that if I am to carry on developing content, that I needn't hesitate in producing more spiritually driven content. It's so interesting how the sea goat and the nostrils of the sea goat, or they almost look like little horns, align with the crescent moon on the high priestess. Like they are part of the same story, the angel and the devil, the angel and the devil, and how, part of my more recent, what I've repeated a few times, is that how important it is to learn to embrace this energy as part of one's story. The shadow is not to be denied. And to have these two cards here feels really important. There's a lot of correspondences that connect these two cards, and it is very sacral chakra, which is I could do a whole year of content connecting to that particular chakra. So preliminarily, that feels kind of important here. What is this Five of Swords saying to me? Another thing I do like to do is add up all the numbers, so I'm going to do that in a moment. Just see what this leans to. Overhead, it is apparent, and I have been listening to this. If I look at these two cards here, and a card that hasn't shown up in the reading is the Three of Swords, which is one that was very present for me all through the end of 2024 and the first third of 2025. And so this is kind of confirming that I have been deep in the process of the Three of Swords. Three of Swords as the growth of truth, the growth of voice, the growth of, I think, and I've also been doing it through others as well, to talking more about grief and sorrow and embracing those situations as part of who you are. It's not something that you must let go of. It's just something that you need not cling to too tightly. And I've been giving myself more, I didn't race back to YouTube. I've been home for a few days, and I just knew I needed space to breathe. And also, this is a really lovely connection with breath. And this is a night, and we have these other two nights here as well too. Almost looks like this is a night. So this idea of sacred journey, and I wonder, so I'm having this aha moment of a book that I've talked about over the years many times, which is a contemporary version of the Bhagavad Gita by Stephen Cope called something of your life, the path of your life, the secret of your life, something like that. And how I might do something with that as well too. Life path, life purpose feels like a really important topic. So what I'm picking up on here is rather than is a shift of energy to something, should I choose to continue to develop YouTube content in 2026. Yeah. All right. Let's leave that for a moment, and I'm going to come back over here. I see the lovely Tina is here. Welcome. Yes, The Great Work of Your Life by Stephen Cope is a book that I have marked up. Unfortunately, I put highlighter pen in my chair is going to squeak, sorry, as I turn my body. In my hardcover copy. I have a hardcover copy of the book, but it is what it is, and I just really appreciate that book. A group of people gather at It's not an ashram. It's a, well, I guess it is in a way. It was at one time an ashram, but now it is a center for healing and yoga and wellness. The last time I was there, it's called Kripalu. It's in Massachusetts, and I was there for the first International Yoga Nidra Conference. And while we were there was a incredible program for oversized women, and it was an empowerment program, and they were doing, I don't know what all their content was, but it was this really interesting energy of souls dedicated to a greater wellness and a greater way of being. And Kripalu is a really, really special place. So The Great Work of Your Life by Stephen Cope is about a group of friends, no, they weren't friends, they became friends, people who were at Kripalu one summer. And they meet outside of class, and he very cleverly weaves the teachings through their situations, and it's a wonderful book. Yeah. So, new course, finding more comfort and confidence in what arises from the cards, finding more confidence into diving into something deeper than you once did. At no time will you ever say, this card means fill in the blank. That is something that we will be completely getting away from, and learning to see the reading from a bird's eye view, from a deeper perspective. And I know there will be a lot of hands that go up and say, well, Sadhana, I thought this card meant da 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 da. And on one level, when one begins to study the tarot, we need those very specific meanings to anchor in. But as you develop your experience and range of understanding, the mandala of the tarot becomes so much more interesting, and there are many, many layers that can be woven together, and you can then see what something that will take you in a different direction than where you were when you were just beginning to learn tarot. I guess that's what I'm saying. So, welcome. And if you're interested in spending 11 Saturdays with me, the information for registration is below. And if you have any other questions, please come back and leave a question below in the comment section, and I will be sure to respond to you right away. Thank you. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll be back soon. I am going to be recording the 13th episode of Decks I Recommend shortly.